These are the times NBA players were caught cheating. Let's start first with Baron Davis cheating in the 2001 dunk contest. This is a big one. Davis had been impressing everyone during the contest, dazzling the crowd with his incredible dunks. He was on a roll, but what no one knew was that he had a secret up his sleeve, or rather, under his headband. He was so confident about this move that he boasted to Craig Sager, "I bet you'll be surprised." So, for his final dunk, he decided to take things up a whole notch. Davis had a brilliant plan: blindfold him with her trusty headband. But here's the catch: he had stealthily cut holes in the headband, trying to fool everyone. When the camera zoomed in, it really looked like Davis had made those holes so he could look through. Clever, right? If his intention was to see through those tiny holes, next time he might need some binoculars. Because when it came time to dunk, everything went wrong. He missed the dunk by a lot, or rather, by a hole in his headband. And guess what? The judges, probably trying to contain their laughter, deemed it a legitimate dunk attempt. Unfortunately for Davis, he had already used his replacement dunk before, so there was no chance for redemption. The following cheating incident would make even the most astute scammer raise an eyebrow. During a 2010 regular season game between the Milwaukee Bucks and the Houston Rockets, no one knew that amid the sweat and squeaks of sneakers, an audacious plan was about to unfold. The Bucks trailed by 9 points in the late third quarter. Andrew Bogut went down and was given the opportunity to shoot free throws. This is where the shenanigans began. It turns out that Bogut wasn't exactly the Michael Jordan of free throws. In fact, his hitting percentage looked more like a mischievous squirrel trying to hit a target with a water balloon. I mean, accuracy issues, right? So the Bucks came up with a plan that would make even the most cunning wizards proud. During the dead ball pause, with players milling about and the crowd momentarily distracted, Brandon Jennings took advantage of the moment. He slipped past everyone and got to the free throw line. Meanwhile, Bogut, like a cunning fox, scurried toward the rebounding zone, ready to pounce on any missed shot. The Rockets were not willing to let this trap go. They started protesting, pointing fingers and shouting, "That's not Bogut." Having realized they had been fooled, the referees banded together to quickly uncover the truth and erased Jennings' point from the scoreboard. They sent Bogut to the free throw line. This cheating by the Bucks angered many NBA fans. But this next cheating incident has led to ridicule instead of anger. During a 2016 game between the Houston Rockets and the Atlanta Hawks, Dwight Howard found himself in a sticky situation, literally. Paul Millsap of the Atlanta Hawks grabbed the ball and, surprisingly, it felt stickier than a fly trap. Naturally, Millsap did what any self-respecting player would do: he showed the tampered ball to the referee, exposing Howard's little secret. Howard was the last player to touch the ball, and he had sprayed stickum on his hands. Stickum is a substance designed to improve grip. Now, in a sport like the NFL, it could give a wide receiver an advantage by catching those ultra-fast throws. But in basketball, well, it doesn't make much sense, but it still serves to improve dribbling or shooting. Now, you'd think Howard could have taken it easy, admitted his sneaky ways and maybe apologized for his sticky fingers. But no, our dear Dwight decided to take a different path. He boldly defended his actions, stating that he had been using stickum for no less than 5 years, as if it were the most normal thing in the world. The NBA, in all its wisdom, or perhaps bewilderment, chose not to punish Howard. Perhaps they couldn't fully understand how a substance predominantly associated with the NFL could give a basketball player any advantage. Howard may not have been punished, but the next cheating incident cost an NBA player a staggering sum of $50,000. In a game between the Knicks and the Mavericks on January 5, 2014, J.R. Smith made a sneaky move that left Shawn Marion with an untied shoelace. He went unnoticed by Marion, but not by the attentive fans watching at home. The NBA did not take Smith's antics lightly and issued a warning against him. And unsportsmanlike behavior. You'd think Smith would have learned his lesson, right? Well, not entirely. Just 2 days later, in a game against the Detroit Pistons, he couldn't resist pulling his little prank again. This time, his target was Pistons forward Greg Monroe. Monroe, luckily for him, was not fooled by Smith's cunning move and deftly avoided the trap of the untied cord. You will understand that it was enough for the NBA. They had seen Smith's antics too many times, and they were not at all happy. So they decided to hit where it hurts most, the pocket. Smith was fined $50,000, sending a clear message that his mischievous behavior had crossed the line. In a rare moment of honesty, Smith admitted that he would have continued with his tricks if it weren't for those pesky fines. This guy really knows how to push the limits. The next cheating incident was so crazy that it caused the NBA to change their rules. But before we talk about that, if you're enjoying this video, feel free to give it a thumbs up and subscribe. You would become the MVP of the channel. Let's move on. The year was 2008, and the Trailblazers were facing the Celtics. The clock was running out in the first half, with just 10.1 seconds left on the scoreboard. The Trailblazers got an impressive dunk from Travis Outlaw, courtesy of a timed pass from Greg Oden. The crowd erupted, and the scoreboard reflected the points. Sounds like an exciting time, right? Well, here's the twist. The Trailblazers had cheated to get that dunk. Turns out, when the dust settled, it became clear that they had not 5, but 6 players on the court. Yes, you heard it right, 6 players instead of the regulation 5. The Celtics were furious, waving their arms in protest. The referees were in a difficult situation because, according to the rule book, they could not annul the points. All they could do was give the Trailblazers a technical foul as a small penalty. Can you imagine the Celtics' frustration? They were watching the opposing team blatantly cheat to score, and yet they couldn't do anything about it. This scandalous incident sent shock waves through the NBA and led league officials to rethink their rules. As a result, a new rule was introduced. The non-offending team now had a choice. They could accept the result of the play and issue a technical foul, or they could reject the result and repeat the play. Let's talk about when an NBA player tried to cheat the system. In 2015, DeAndre Ayton found himself tangled in a bit of trouble involving allegations of using illegal performance-enhancing substances. Yes, the big guy got caught up in a bit of doping-related drama. So here's the situation: Ayton tested positive for a diuretic. Now, before you scratch your head and wonder why a diuretic is so important, let me explain. This sneaky substance is known to increase urine production. Seems like a trick for your bladder, right? Well, it's not all fun and games when it comes to professional sports. You see, diuretics have an annoying habit of altering drug test results by increasing levels of urine retention, which can mask the presence of other banned substances, turning drug testing into something of a scavenger hunt. It's like trying to find Wally in a sea of urine samples, and it's not exactly the kind of game the NBA wants to play. And you can probably understand why. As a result of his positive test, Ayton faced a 25-game suspension. It was a clear message from the league that it takes any violation of its anti-doping policy seriously. No shortcuts allowed, friends. When it comes to leading the Miami Heat, Jimmy Butler wasn't just a basketball star, he was a master of theatrics. In the 2020 NBA Finals, he showed his teammates and fans that he was willing to do whatever it took to lead his team to victory. And by whatever it takes, I mean faking a foul like a Hollywood actor auditioning for an Oscar. During the game, Butler was hit by Julius Randle, but instead of just taking the hit and moving on, Butler decided to put on a little show. He clutched his eye, writhed in pain and hinted that he had just been hit by a meteorite. While he pretended to be injured, Butler couldn't resist sneaking a glance at the referees. It was like he was playing "Did I Cheat on You?" with the officers. Unfortunately for Butler, his Oscar-worthy performance did not earn him a flagrant foul. But that didn't stop the Heat. T won with a 98-96 victory. After the game, Butler made no bones about admitting his inspiration for theatrics. He gave a shout-out to his friend Mark Wahlberg, the king of action movies and on-screen drama. It looks like Butler took a page from Wahlberg's book and brought a little Hollywood magic to the basketball court. I hope you liked the video. What are you waiting for? Click next.